Hello, good evening, fellow fantasy sports fanatics, and welcome to MFSN The Hub's weekly waiver wire show. We're here to talk waiver wire baseball. My name is Casey Scheinvold, also known as Vlad to the Bone, and I am here today, as always, with the one, the only Ross the Boss.
Hey everybody, I'm Ross the Boss, and I want to talk fantasy baseball waiver wire with you, cowboy. You know what, Casey, before we get started, there's a couple things I want to talk to you about. And,
all right, get it off your chest.
I used to do a Ross's rant. The network canceled that. I don't know why. It was like the highest rated thing we ever did, but God forbid I get more airtime, but we'll talk about that later. But we're all going to talk about all the checking of pitchers and everything that's going on, slowing up the game more. I pay the $350 so I can watch the package at my house, at my convenience. I can watch every game because I'm Ross the Boss. But now the games are longer because the umpires have to check every pitcher for substances, and it's getting ridiculous. Last night, for example, the probably Hall of Famer, right, Case, Max Scherzer.
One of the best.
One of the best. Unbelievable. He was checked 3 times, and your ex-Yankee manager was causing the whole problems. He was telling the umpires, check him again. I didn't know the other manager could do that. So the umpires were going up to him. The first time, Max was great. He was like, okay, check. The second time, little irritated. The third time, he puts his hands up. He actually pulls down his pants. I don't know if anybody saw this. His underwear was shown. He was like so irritated. It reminded me of a Naked Gun. Remember Leslie Nielsen when
Great
he was
movie.
the umpire and he was checking the pitcher for illegal stuff, and he had the nail file, he had the Vaseline, he had all this illegal stuff. It was that's what it reminded me of. I mean, it was like Max, and Joe Girardi did this on purpose to get in Max's head, and he ended up just pitching. He was at 2 innings into the game. He had like 5 strikeouts, and after that, he only had like 3 more strikeouts. He pitched for 5 innings because it slowed the game down so much it ruined his stride. I think he did it on purpose just so he didn't get his rhythm going. And I think the MLB has to do something, either cancel the whole thing, the substance thing is ridiculous, or check for like 10 seconds, like when they're walking off the mound at the end of the inning, you check, and that's it. You don't make a big deal about it. But for me, it's just a waste of time. They haven't called anybody yet. No one's been suspended, but pitchers do talk about it. Like Tyler Glasnow, before he got hurt, he even said in a press conference that he'll use suntan lotion if he has to. But I mean, all these pitchers have all these grand ideas, but they don't want to be the first to be caught, and I think it's just ruining the game right now. The MLB has to do something right now, KC Scheinfold, because I'm getting irritated at how much time it's taking out of the game right now. What do you think?
Well, it does seem that the MLB had a really haphazard way of implementing this. And I agree. Last night was tough to watch some of the games. I was watching my Yankees play, and Garrett Cole had to stop at the foul line and have his hat checked and his glove checked and his wrist checked. Salvador Perez, they were playing the Royals. He had to have his mitt and his jersey checked to make sure there are no substances on it. So I think it was pretty foolish to think they could implement it smoothly in the middle of the season, but hopefully it gets better or goes away. I mean, it's pretty annoying. I think.
What's next, Casey? The Dumps will get a rubber glove and do an anal probe during the game with them.
Maybe they'll get MRI.
What's next?
Maybe you'll have to walk through like an X-ray machine or something to go onto the field, or your bat will have to get an MRI before every game. Who knows? It's ridiculous. But that's I guess just the game we're in right now. But let's focus now on what we're going to do today. As you know, our waiver wire, for those who are new to the show, I'll remind you, we give you names of at every position based on Yahoo rankings. We're looking at players who are owned at less than 60% in the leagues as available choices. We look for those hidden gems that can help you build depth on your roster, replace those injuries like the Tyler Glasnows or the Shane Biebers or position players. Byron Buxton, I think we've officially agreed, is just going to live on the IL with Adalberto Mondesi. The two of them, I think, are shacking up together somewhere. So we're going to go through that. We're going to name some players. We're going to take a break in the middle and talk about some of the biggest busts of the year. But for right now, let's focus on position players who are owned less than 60% in Yahoo. Yahoo is who we choose. And give you some names that can help you move forward. Before I go any further, let me first tell you, Please click like on these videos, subscribe to our channel. We like all the subscribers we can get. Click the bell, ring the bell for notifications so you can hear any future rants that Ross might have. I think it's a good idea to bring them back because it's always entertaining. And write your comments below. See, maybe if you write in there that we want his rant enough, it'll come back as a regular segment on the show. I'm kind of rooting for it. So Ross, typically, Dr. Dan is here to host this show. I know you guys have been giving me grief for the past few weeks that I had off. Well, I'm finally back. And what does Dan do? He runs away. So you're stuck with me today, Ross, but we're going to make the best of it. But unlike Dan, I'm going to give you first crack at these players.
Okay.
I know he always makes you go.
You know, what I usually do is I give you one player and then I let you pick a player. I don't want to be a hog. I don't like to take all the names. Then you're up. You got nothing to do. So
Ross,
I usually give you my first suggestion if you're looking for a catcher. I mean, I would say right now, again, the catching position's it's not the greatest when it comes to under 60%. So you got to look at guys that are coming up that are streakers, and streakers, Casey, or somebody that's on a streak. Yes. So
many normal people refer to them as streamers. We call them streakers here on MFSN.
Right. So a good streaker right now is Luis Torrens of the Seattle Mariners. He's batting the past 2 weeks, 389, 3 home runs. He's killing the ball. He's been starting 3 games in a row, then takes a day off, 2 games in a row. You know, he's been switching back and forth. But right now, he's killing the ball. So the manager for the Seattle knows that. That's why he's getting a lot of playing time. So my number one pickup for the catching position is Luis Torrens for the Seattle Mariners.
Yeah, I agree. I had him on my list too as well. I would add Sean Murphy for the Oakland Athletics.
60%. I'm always like, should I say him? Should I not? But I'll let you do it.
I have him at 59% today. So to me, he fell. But I'm going to name one too who's not even playing yet. And that's Joey Bart in San Francisco. San Francisco's in the pennant race. They look like they're real. If they can get Buster Posey more days off or more chances to play the field, I think that'll only prolong his season, which is important considering all the other injuries they've been dealing with. And Joey Bart is a pretty good prospect. So he's only owned in like 3 or 5%. So you can get him and stash him if you have room, and he may pay dividends to you here later in the season. So I think that's another one who I would look at. Ross, what about first base? Do you have anybody for first base?
With catcher, let me just give you 2 more.
Oh, you have more. I like it.
They're both play for the same team. You're saying, Ross, you're picking 2 catchers on the same team. Are you insane? Oh, I'm not insane. There's a reason why I did that. So Tucker Barnhart hitting 300 the past 2 weeks.
Cincinnati Reds.
Tucker Barnhart hitting 300, starting most of the time. He has a home run, has some RBIs in the past 2 weeks, hitting 300, which is great for a catcher. We know that. And the other one, I brought him up before. He's available. The only play in Yahoo that's available in every infield position is Kyle Farmer. And he's available at catcher the past 2 weeks. He starts every game at shortstop, third base. They move him around. I think he started like once at catcher this year. But that being said, he is available at catcher. He's hitting 260 the past 2 weeks. He has a couple home runs, some RBIs. He's somebody that plays every day. So it's a great pickup to start at catcher, Kyle Farmer, just because of that reason.
I like that. I like that choice a lot. Who do you have at first base?
CJ Crum, Colorado, as we discussed before. Colorado players, especially when it gets hot. It's going to get hot in Colorado in June and July and August. It's going to be, the ball's going to be flying out of there. We know the history of that stadium. We know how easy it is to hit home runs and to score a lot of runs there. CJ Crum, the past 2 weeks, 326, 5 home runs, 11 RBIs.
Yeah, he's been tearing the cover off the ball.
And, those stats will just get better as it gets hotter in Colorado. So the Rockies are unbelievable scoring team. They have horrible pitching. We know that. But pick up CJ right now if you need a first baseman.
Yeah, I was surprised when I saw that he was only 40% owned. A Colorado power hitter is always somebody who I think deserves to be owned. So he was my number one pickup too. I'd like to add another Cincinnati Red, and that's Joey Votto. He's come off the IL, and he's been hitting the ball like he picked up right where he left off. He seems to be more aggressive at the plate, and I think it's proven to pay dividends for him. So he's somebody I would look at. I have him at 27% owned. He's knocked in 13 runs in the last 2 weeks. So he's producing RBIs for a team like mine who struggles with RBIs. He's a smart pickup for somebody like me even. but somebody else has him in my league, so I can't get him. Another guy I'd like to mention, who we've mentioned before a couple times, but seems chronically underrated because of his history. He was a prospect many, many years ago, and then just underperformed for years. And that's Brandon Belt, the baby giraffe out in San Francisco. Right. We've mentioned him before. He's still only 38% owned, but he's batting 270 with 3 home runs the past couple of weeks. He's scoring runs. He's knocking in runs. He's playing for a winner. And so he seems to be rejuvenated as well. So that's another first baseman I would consider. Other ones to mention.
Brandon Belt, I had on my list, 33 years old. You know, he's a guy that's very consistent. He also is available in the outfield. He's a guy, he's a good pickup in San Francisco right now. They're in first place, so they need to score runs. And Brandon Belt, I think, is going to be a big part of that team. We'll see what happens, but that's a great pickup.
What are your thoughts on Wilmer Flores right now in San Francisco?
Wilmer Flores, I have him on my list, not at first base, but we'll talk about that a little later because I have him at a different position. But Wilmer's, we'll talk about him. He's a good story. I want to talk about that.
All right. Well, what position do you want to talk about him at?
So let's go to second base.
Okay.
Let's talk about Tony Kemp hitting 296. He's leading leadoff for your Oakland A's.
Yeah.
He steals bases. He's getting on base all the time. I feel that he's somebody that will just go up and up during the season. He's been looking great. I mean, Oakland's touring a lot of runs now too. So Tony Kemp, I think, is a good pickup, and he's also great for stolen bases. He's not really a power guy, but I'm sure on your team you have a lot of power guys that strike out a lot, and Tony Kemp's going to help you with average. So Tony Kemp for me is an outfielder I would want to pick up if you need that position right now.
You mean a second baseman?
He's a second baseman. And he's an outfielder.
I agree.
I felt second base this week, Casey, is the strongest position, and I think there's a lot of people out there that can help you. So I want to hear what you have to say about your next one.
I agree with Tony Kemp, and I agree with you actually about second base. We always talk about it being one of the thinnest positions at draft. So it's interesting that the waiver wire is so full of position players at second who can help. Another one who's similar a little bit to Tony Kemp is Luis Urias in Milwaukee.
Yep.
He qualifies at second, third, and short. And he's kind of that same guy. He's going to score a bunch of runs. He's hitting at the top of Milwaukee's lineup right now. He can steal a bag or two. He's not going to wow you in the power numbers, but he won't hurt you. And then another one is Ty France. We've talked about him before in Seattle. He started off really hot, then cooled off for the month of May, and turning into June, he's been playing a lot better. He's actually batting .356 with 3 home runs and 7 RBIs in the past couple of weeks. So he's another second baseman.
I have Ty at third base just because I thought third base was kind of light this week. Mm-hmm. So I moved him over to third base position. But I think Ty France, we'll talk about it at third base, but he's been killing the ball lately. I agree 1,000%.
Yeah, he's crushing the ball. And David Fletcher's out there. He's another one who qualifies all over the place.
You have to call him Fletch. That's what Dan and I call him. We call him Fletch. He's not a power guy. He does not hit home runs. So if you need a home run guy, don't pick up Fletch. But if you need a guy that's hitting for average right now, which he is, pick up Fletch.
And he qualifies all over the place, second,
great.
Third, short, and outfield. So he's one of those players on your bench who can always fill in if you have a minor injury, somebody who's day-to-day. You're right. He's not going to win you any power rankings or any RBI races, but he can score some runs, and he's going to get on base a fair amount. So that's really going to help you. I don't have any other second baseman. Who do you have?
Let me give you a few. I'll give you a clue. One of them, I'll sing a little verse of a song and tell me who you think I'm thinking about. Thank you, India. Thank you. I don't know the other words.
I have him at third base, but go for it.
Okay, so Jonathan India, as you know, as a Red fan,
yep.
since May 13th, he's hitting 296. He has 5 home runs. He has like a bunch of RBIs. Jonathan, he started out April, first week he was great. Then he died. He went into a comatose. I don't know what happened to him, but now he's back. He's hitting. The Reds love him. They have him leading off. He looks great out there. He has the mullet. Any guy with a mullet, I love picking up, as you know. But Jonathan India, I like a lot. And the other one I like, I know he's an ex-Cardinal, and I don't like Cardinals, is Colton Wong. He plays for Milwaukee now. Colton Wong is hitting 285. He has like 5 home runs, and he's been on like the IL like twice this year. But when he's healthy, he hits. And Milwaukee loves to score runs. So Colton Wong, for me, if you need a second baseman that's going to steal bases and hit for power, he's a great pickup right now.
Yeah, I mean, he was a guy in St. Louis who always flirted with that kind of 2020 steals and home runs kind of mark and teased us for years. Hopefully he's able to live up to that potential a little bit better in Milwaukee. He's a great defender and always had potential with the bat. So I hope for your sake that it turns out to be a good one. There were a few shortstops out there. I'm going to name one, and then I'll let you name your list there. And that's, I think, it's funny. We're talking a lot about some of the same teams. It seems like the NL Central is the place to pick people up, and that's Willy Adames. He was traded from Tampa Bay, as everybody knows, with the idea that he was going to get out of the way so Wander Franco could come up, who made his debut, a beautiful debut.
Let's talk about that real
quick.
So Wander Franco got his first hit yesterday, got his first home run yesterday. I mean, all this hype, and usually when people get hypes like that, they usually fail, especially the first few games. This kid loved it. This kid looked like an all-star.
Oh, yeah.
And, this kid's the real deal, and we've been telling you about to pick him up for weeks now on our show, and I just want to tell you that it's so much fun to watch him. But another thing that happened in that game was they checked the pitcher for illegal stuff, and it took 48 minutes to go through that lineup. I counted. I was sitting here watching the game, and it took 48 minutes to go through the lineup for Tampa Bay, and it was like so frustrating. I'm so upset.
Yeah, that's going to be an ongoing thing, I think, for at least a couple weeks till they figure out a better way to do it, or put limits on the amount of times you can check a pitcher. But to get back to Willy Adames real quick, he's batting well over 300. He's not striking out a tremendous amount. He's got a home run. He can knock it out of the park. He's gotten some clutch RBIs. He can score some runs. He's really well liked there in Milwaukee. I think he's going to have the everyday job for the rest of the year.
So I think for long-term use, he's a great guy to pick up.
Yeah. So who do you have at shortstop?
Shortstop, this kid's from Southern California. I talked to him. I've been talking about him. He's just getting better and better. Case he has an 8-game hitting streak right now. In the month of June, he's hitting 364, 5 home runs. He hits leadoff for the Seattle Mariners, and it's J.P. Crawford. J.P. Crawford right now in the American League, I would say he's like a top 3 shortstop right now. He's playing unbelievable. He's playing up to his potential. He's a first-round draft pick. He's unbelievable. You got to pick him up if your shortstop position. If you don't have one of the top shortstops right now, pick up JP. He's going to help your team tremendously right now. He's unbelievable.
Yeah, I agree. And I think Philadelphia might right now with Gregorius on the IL be regretting trading him for Gene Segura because that doesn't look great for them. To name another one, he's not up yet, but with Adalberto Mondesi being hurt again, I think this is his third IL stint. Bobby Witt Jr. is tearing up AAA right now.
Unbelievable.
And he's hitting for power. He's hitting for speed. He kind of seems to have that it factor. And I think if he comes up, he's another one who could hit the ground running. There's no guarantee he's going to be called up to replace him, but it certainly wouldn't be a terrible idea. And he's only owned in 18% right now of Yahoo leagues. So if you have any room on your bench, it's definitely worth the speculative stash, because if he gets called up, he could be, in my opinion, one of those players who can make a difference for your team as you go down the stretch run to get an impact bat like that. The other one I want to talk about is Houston, Miles Straw. He's not really playing shortstop. He plays the outfield for them, but he qualifies at shortstop. Right now, Carlos Correa is playing way too well at shortstop to pull him out of that lineup. But Miles Straw is batting .318. He's hitting some home runs. He's scoring runs. He's stolen a couple bags in the past couple weeks. He's chipping in at every single category. So he's another one.
Whoa. Not every single category. Look at home runs. How many home runs does the man have?
He has 2 in the, if he's okay. When I say chip in, I don't mean I think he's going to win you the league, but if you can get a guy who's hitting a home run a week, which is what he's
not
doing,
hitting a home run a week.
The last 2 weeks, he has 2 home runs, 8 RBI, 8 runs scored, 6 RBIs. If you can get that every 2 weeks, I'm not saying he's going to keep it up, but it's not, it doesn't hurt your lineup.
He's a stolen base guy. He's a run guy. Right now he's an average guy. He's not a home run and RBI guy. Let's face it. Let's go.
No, he's not known for that, but it doesn't mean he can't chip in there.
Okay.
God, you're difficult today. You're all fired up.
I'm all fired up.
This whole spider tack on the gloves and
so another guy at shortstop I like. The past 2 weeks he's hitting 300. Brandon Rogers, if you're Colorado Rockies, another Rocky for you. 3 home runs, hitting 300 the past 2 weeks. He plays multiple positions. I'd like Brandon Rogers. He's your everyday player now in Colorado. They like him there. And again, you got to pick these Rocky guys up now because they're not going to be available in the next couple of weeks. Because
and once the Rockies trade Trevor Story, because they're going to this season, he's going to get the everyday shortstop job there going forward anyway. So that's a great speculative ad as well. That's a great person to pick up right now to help you. Third base. Third base is one that's not terribly deep, but I'm going to let you go first. Go for it.
So Abraham Toro Hernandez, I guess they call him, I guess it's Abraham Toro, but Hernandez is his other name. So Abraham Torres, 26 at bats. He's hitting 348. He's took Bregman's spot when Bregman got on the DL. He's actually playing great job at third base. They love him there. I mean, he's been killing the ball. As I mentioned, he's hitting 348. He has a home run. He's just getting better and better. He tore it up in the minors. If you need a third baseman and your third baseman, let's say you have Donaldson on your team and he's like day to day and he's having a subpar year, drop Donaldson, pick up Toro. Understand? Drop Donaldson, pick up Toro.
I like it. Why don't you talk about Wilmer Flores now?
So Wilmer Flores, past 2 weeks, he's hitting the past 2 weeks, Case? 371, 4 home runs, 8 RBIs. And he's actually available at first base, second base, and third base. And as I mentioned before, the Giants are in first place. They want to win. So they're going to bring some more bats in. Flores is going to be there he plays every day. And he'll just get better and better. So I like Toro better at third, but if he's not available, Flores is not a bad second choice.
You know who I was shocked to see is only owned in 59%. So it's under 60, although it's right on the threshold, is Alec Bohm in Philadelphia. I know he started off slow and he's not exactly lighting the world on fire, but we've seen what this guy is capable of.
I know, but the owners are so frustrated with the KC.
He's hitting 300 over the past couple of weeks and close to 300 for the month of June. So I think he's starting to figure it out. You might be able to either get him off your waiver wire if you're in one of those 40% of leagues where nobody owns him, or trade for him on the cheap. And it's somebody with the potential to really help your team. I had Jonathan India at third base. We've already talked about him.
I had Ty France at third base. He's hitting 340, 3 home runs, 340, 3 home runs, 7 RBIs in the past 2 weeks. He got off the IR and he's been on fire. So Ty or Jonathan, both of them are really good pickups right now.
Yeah, I agree entirely. And I had Wilmer Flores as my other top third base pickup. One of the things that we always talk about, and I talked about yesterday on the Q&A show, was the ones who I thought were the all-stars for fantasy, meaning the players you got really late or picked up off the waiver wire who were just lighting the world on fire. Part of that was how Shohei Ohtani ended up on the cover of this show because you have a slight bromance going with him and he's playing as well as anybody in baseball right now. And I mentioned him, but one of the things we didn't talk about were busts. Those people we wasted high round draft picks or early draft picks on that aren't producing. I thought maybe we could talk about a few of those.
And you know what? You're kind of messed up because you can't really trade these guys, get the value that they're worth. So you have to sit on them.
Yeah, you have to wait. You either have to wait sell
unless you have some guy in your league that kind of thinks the way you do and says, these guys are not going to hit 200 and have 20 home runs
the rest of the year. But you're still going to try to buy them on the cheap. So you're going to get pennies on the dollar.
So you kind of have to sit on them and just wait till they turn the gas on. So you're kind of messed up.
So let's start with position players. Who are your biggest busts in the field?
So my number one bust at position right now, he's been hurt twice, but he only has 1 home run. He plays for your Los Angeles Dodgers. And you guys had him in our
pre-show. This is your biggest I told you so. I remember.
Yeah, I mean, Cody Bellinger, you guys had him like a top 5 player. And
we argued how much better he was than Matt Olson. I just said, boy, were we wrong.
And again, he's been hurt. I like Cody. I actually know his mom. I actually had breakfast with her when I was at the World Series in November, and nice family. I was with his dad too. And you know what? I feel bad I'm saying this, but he's hitting 226 this year and he has 1 home run and he's at like a top 20 pick, like overall, like if I was drafting at the beginning of the year, he'll be like a top 20 pick. So, so basically for me, I feel he's like the biggest bust right now.
Who else do you have?
So I have Juan Soto. Everybody thought this was the next big thing. He was drafted number 1 in a lot of leagues, like first overall
by Dr. Dan Ratner in one.
Yeah, and he's hitting a little better. He's hitting 279. He only has 8 home runs, so that's not that good. and his RBIs are down, and he's not having the year everybody thought he was having. Manny Machado, another guy, he's hitting 254, 11 home runs. He was a top 20 pick. Mookie Betts, who was like either a 1 or 2 or number 3 overall draft, he's hitting 249 with 9 home runs. I mean, really, those are not good stats. For where they were picked in the draft, they're not good stats. And I want to say the last name because I've been giving you a tough time about him because I don't think he's playing in the league anymore. It's DJ LeMahieu. I don't know where DJ LeMahieu lives. I don't know if he's in the country. I don't know if he's in the lineup. I don't know what's going on with him. He was the talk of the town last year, but this year, I don't know what happened to him. He's missing in action.
He's playing for the Yankees. He started at second base.
I didn't know.
He is, but he's got like a 660 or 665 OPS. He's not hitting in the clutch like he normally does. He's not getting on base at the same rate he normally does. So he is really struggling. 6 home runs. He's looking like the average self like he was 4 years ago, which we all knew he was. He was playing out of his socks last year, and we all knew that. And now reality sets in. All you DJ LeMahieu, owners, it's not gonna keep up. So I would get rid of him or trade him as soon as I can. Yeah, I would like to add Christian Yelich to that list. Unfortunately, I own him, and it's been a frustrating season for me.
He lives. I saw him playing high school. His high school is right down the street where I live, and nicest kid. He gives a lot back to the community, and I just feel bad. But you're 100% right, Christian.
And he's got back issues always scare me, like whether he's going to be healthy at all.
And he's such a nice role model for children, but that doesn't matter in fantasy. There's no category for being a good guy. So, Stacey Scheinfeld, you're 100% right. And
I think Francisco
people offered me him in trades, and I won't take him.
No, I couldn't sell Yelich right now for anything worthwhile. Yeah. I would put Francisco Lindor on that list. I think he struggled. I would put Anthony Rendon.
Rendon's a big flop, and he
struggled at third base.
Angels. I mean, they paid him a lot of money, and I don't think he has more than 10 home runs this year, and he's sitting like in the 200s. So Rendon's a horrible bust.
Now I know this next guy has homered twice in the last 2 days, including one today, but they're notorious solo shots every time, and that's Bryce Harper. Harper's another one you had to use a high pick on, and he's got like 20 RBIs on the season, and he's missed some games.
He's been hurt
with some issues. So he's one I'd have up there. And then, for reasons beyond baseball's control, Marcell Ozuna was somebody you had to invest pretty highly in to get.
Top 20 pick.
As we all know, he's maybe not coming back to the league at all.
Where is he in jail? Where is he right now? Where can I find him?
Not in Atlanta.
I mean, he's not with his wife. I think they have a restraining order against him.
I'm sure they do. Yeah, I don't think he's incarcerated.
He's not incarcerated,
but I do think he's out on bail.
Did MLB say you're suspended? Did they tell them that?
I'm not exactly sure. I think it's the team suspended him pending the investigation.
Okay.
I think that's my understanding.
Okay.
A couple other players who've really struggled. JT Realmuto.
I know. I have him in a couple
the top catcher on everybody's draft board, I think, going into the season. And this year he's batting. It's not terrible, but where you had to pay for him to have just he's the 213th ranked player in fantasy right now, which is decent for a catcher, ironically, but not for somebody of Realmuto's draft status. So that's another position player. There's a few more, but let's move on to the pitchers. Who are your biggest busts as pitchers?
Biggest bust for me, because I'm a Reds fan, and this guy was our number one pitcher, and the guy who has him in our league is like our nemesis. So I'm so happy he's like. The only reason there's a bright spot that it's on this guy's team, but it's Luis Castillo. Luis Castillo this year he has 2 wins and his ERA is 5.61, and this is the Cincinnati Reds ace. Yeah. He's been pitching a lot better lately. He's pitching a lot better lately. His starts are a lot better. But, I mean, to just have 2 wins is embarrassing.
I totally agree.
All the way. And the Reds have such great young pitchers. We talked about Hunter Green. We talked about we talked about some other pitchers they have too that are coming.
Tyler Mahle's pitching well.
Yeah, I mean, they have some really good, like Wade Miley you mentioned. Yeah, so the Reds have some good starting pitchers, but every time Castillo gets up there, it's like a loss. I just feel either we don't score any runs or he just gives up 6 runs in the first inning. So Luis Castillo is my number one flop this year, especially with all the high expectations and where he was going to go in the draft. The other one who I love, I saw him pitch in the World Series, and he actually was rolling until the manager decided to take him out for no reason, is Blake Snell. I mean, Blake Snell has been in the talk of fantasy talk for the past 2 weeks. People are dropping him. People are giving up on him. And then as soon as the talk happened, he's been pitching like unbelievable. I mean, last time he pitched, he pitched 6 innings and didn't give up a run.
Yeah, last night he shut down the Dodgers, but even with that great performance,
I mean,
he's got a 5.29 ERA and a 1.51 WHIP.
And he's probably on the best pitching staff in the league. I mean, he pitches for San Diego, and their starting staff is great.
Yeah, them in LA, the Dodgers are the only ones that can really.
They're unbelievable. So for me, those two guys, pitching wise, are the biggest flops. And of course, there's Tyler Glass now. That's actually out.
Yeah, the injury ones. I'm trying to leave the injury ones.
Me too.
Although Steven Strasburg is certainly one I would put up there, even though he's injured. The other one I would mention is Aaron Nola for Philadelphia. This is another guy who's a top 20 overall player in fantasy, a top 10 pitcher the way he was drafted easily. And he has a 4.2 ERA, a 1.2 WHIP. He's only got 5 wins on the season. So he's not really helping their managers who counted on him as an ace. In their league. I was really grateful. Like, this turned out really well for me because in our keeper league that we're in, Ross, preseason, I traded Nola, Snell, and Real Muto in one trade, all 3 who we have listed for busts, for Walker Buehler. So that's worked out really well for me. I'd like to say I predicted these outcomes for Snell and Nola. I didn't predict it to be this bad, but I always thought Walker Buehler had the higher upside. Couple relief pitchers who are doing poorly. I have Kenta Maeda on my bust list as well, because he was ranked as a top 50 player in fantasy, and he's been pretty atrocious as well. He's not even striking out guys, so he's not even helping you in any of the peripherals. Trevor Rosenthal, again, because of injury, but he was anticipated to be the big closer there in Oakland.
35, 40 saves they had predicted at, and I feel bad, but Dr. Dan Ratner has him on his team, and I couldn't make me more happier, but keep going.
And then Raisel Iglesias in Anaheim is another one who
I didn't have him high. He pitched for the Reds last year, and he was just awful.
Yeah.
And I knew he was a bust.
But he was predicted to be a reliable closer, and he's got bad numbers. So those are our busts for the year. Well, we have about 15 minutes left, so let's move back to our waiver wire. Let's move back to some players and name some outfielders who you're interested in adding this week.
So Adam, if you need somebody to hit home runs, his average isn't that great. So if you're losing an average and if you don't need average for home runs and RBIs, I would pick up Adam Duvall. I mean, he's been on
absolutely.
He's been on a tear.
7 home runs the last 2 weeks.
Kyle Schwarber is over 60%. So if you can pick him up, great. I mean, in the past 2 weeks, he is like he's like 10 home runs. He's been tearing it up. That's 2 weeks, 10 home runs. But again, Duvall has been tearing it up in the past 62 games. He has 16 home runs. He's been he's leading the NL right now with RBIs with 52. He's been money the past 2 weeks. He's been killing the ball. So Adam Duvall is a great streaker right now for your team, and he's my number one pickup for an outfielder.
Yeah, I agree totally. And you know who's been tearing the cover off the ball lately is Jock Peterson. He crushes right-handed pitching. He's getting the chance to play a lot in Chicago because of his propensity to hit right-handers. And in the past 2 weeks, he's hit 5 home runs, knocked in 11 RBIs. And the other one I'd add, if you need some speed, is Jake Fraley. This kid out of Seattle, who I didn't know preseason, so I'd be lying if I said this is somebody who we've seen this coming. He's playing every day in Seattle. He steals bags. He can knock a couple out of the park. He's not going to help you in the power statistics, but he's going to get on base. He's going to steal some bags, and he's going to score some runs for you. So that's somebody who can help you in one of those elusive categories like steals. Who else do you have?
I have this guy. He's not Jewish. His name's Jesus Sanchez. He plays for the Miami Marlins.
Sounds Jewish to me.
He's not Jewish.
L'chaim.
He's not Jewish. So they brought him up last week. Okay, he plays every day. The bottom line last week, they're going to trade Marte for the Marlins. The White Sox want him. The White Sox won't trade who they want. But long story short, Marte is going to be one of these players that are going to be gone to a contender probably in the next 10 days. heard it from me first, Ross the boss. So Jesus Sanchez today, he's hitting 240. I know you, Ross, why are you picking up a player hitting 240? This guy's upside's unbelievable. He has 2 home runs. He has RBIs. He steals bases. He's going to be in the outfield for a long time. And it's somebody that's going to be, he could be an all-star too. This guy's good. And Jesus Sanchez, for me, is good. It's a good pickup right now. Another guy that I've talked about him before, is Harold Ramirez. Past 2 weeks, he's hitting 320, 3 home runs, and that's in the month of June. He's unbelievable right now. He's plays for the Indians. He's available like in 94% of the leagues he's available in. So if you need an outfielder, especially that's for sure available, he could be a good pickup for you.
One guy I'd like to mention who's been playing well of late, I'm not sure if he's guaranteed playing time moving forward, is Steven Duggar in San Francisco.
I have him on my list.
The guy's batting .313 the last 2 weeks. He's hit a couple home runs, stolen a couple bags. Yep. Not a huge name, not a guaranteed playing time guy, but when he's in there, he's effective. So he's another one you can take. And just to touch base, there were several we mentioned in our infield segment who also play the outfield. So it's important to mention them. You know, we mentioned David Fletcher. He qualifies out there. We mentioned Brandon Belt, who qualifies in the outfield. Tony Kemp and Miles Straw are both outfielders as well. So there are a lot of options in the outfield for you to pick up. The other one I was mentioning was Hunter Renfroe in Boston. We've mentioned him a few times on this show, but he's still only 18% owned. He's not even going to kill you in batting average, which used to be kind of the Achilles heel for him. He's batting .275 recently. He can hit a couple out of the park. Boston seems to be scoring runs in bunches. So it's another person you can pick up to help you there, to maybe heal the wounds of the loss of somebody like Byron Buxton, or if you're a Christian Yelich owner and you're struggling like I am. So he's another one you can pick up. Do you have any more outfielders?
No, I think we covered the outfield pretty well.
All right. Name a starting pitcher or two for me.
I like this kid for Houston. He actually played for Tampa Bay. He's been around, but Jake Odorizzi.
Yeah.
His past 5 starts, ERA under 3, and he has 24 Ks and like 20 innings. He's pitching great. This guy's just been on a roll the past few starts, and he started off really bad, but right now he's a guy that you want to pick up, especially as a streamer. But he's like my number 1 starting pitcher you should pick. That's under 60%.
Wow, you called him a streamer. I don't know what's going on. I'd like to add another Houston pitcher who qualifies at starting pitching, and that's Christian Javier. He's pitching really well. I know with Framber Valdez coming back, there's some talk of him getting bumped into long relief, but the way pitchers are falling like flies, you have to imagine they're either going to go to a 6-man rotation or somebody's going to get hurt and he's going to get starts. So he's another Houston pitcher you can pick up. Another one I want to mention is James Caprelli in Oakland. He's only owned in 51%, but he's a Yankees, probably a regret of the Yankees that they traded right now. He's a left-handed pitcher there in Oakland. Past 2 weeks, 2 starts, 11 innings, 14 Ks, 2 wins, 2.3 ERA, 0.86 whip. Some great numbers there. Oakland's winning a bunch of games, so he's always going to feel like he has a chance. So that's another one I'd name in the starting pitching. Why don't you give me a couple more of your starters, Ross?
Eric Feedy, I love, from Washington.
He got lit up today, just so you know.
Well, I'm saying I didn't see his stats today, so I'm not counting today. But before today, he had 19 scoreless innings in the past 3 starts. 19 scoreless, Casey, and all of a sudden he gets lit up today.
Yeah.
But I did not see that. But doesn't matter. He had 1 bad start.
Yeah. The Nationals were
before
like
that. He was scoreless. He plays
12
for the
to 11.
Nationals. I also like he's a young gun. He plays for the Angels. Patrick Sandoval. His last 5 starts have been great. I mean, this guy has been just getting wins. He's looking great. Patrick's a young gun. If you need like a pitcher that not many people know about, Patrick Sandoval could be your guy. I'd like these young stud pitchers a lot. If you want an older pitcher, I like Alex Cobb. He's been picking it up lately. He's been pitching great the past 3 starts. He's been bounced around in the league a little bit, but I think Alex Cobb is the next time he starts, if he's available, you should start him. But those are my starting pitchers right now. I also love this guy I'm going to mention. I love his first name. His first name's the best. His name is Ross Springley, and he's actually plays for Toronto, but his ERA in the last few starts is under 3. in the last 5 starts, and he started off awful. I know that, but his past starts have been great, and he's not going to be available in your league much longer. So if you want to pick him up, you got to do it right now because he'll be over 60% by next week.
Yeah, I think those are some great choices. I want to mention if you want an older guy who signed a big contract because of potential and then pitched terrible to start this year, didn't do great last year. Patrick Corbin's been pitching great the past couple of weeks for the Nationals. I think the Nationals are starting to play better ball, and if Patrick Corbin can keep it up, we know he's a guy who can put up 200 plus strikeouts a year. That's somebody you can get. And somebody from your Los Angeles Dodgers, although I know you're not a huge Dodgers fan, is Tony Gonsolin. He got dropped a lot because he got hurt early in the season, but this is a guy who oozes potential and has great stuff. And the past couple weeks, he's starting to pitch pretty well again.
He's pitching well. He looks like Joe Dirt. I always mention this guy.
He's got the mullet look.
Mullet has the facial hair, and I just call him Joe Dirt, but he's been pitching well, not great. He's been day to day. That's how he's on the injury list.
I know. It's somebody you would have to. You're keeping your fingers crossed. But
Tony Gonsolin's one of these young stud LA Dodger pitchers.
Yeah, the Dustin May type, that type.
Dustin May, who's out for the year. But Gonsolin is somebody. If he's available in your league, it's a great pickup right now.
Who else do you have? Anybody?
I mentioned I give you like 6-7 pitchers.
I know, but you usually have 10.
Again, we mentioned last week, and I'll bring it up because he actually had a start for the Louisville Bats, I think they're called.
Hunter Green.
Is Hunter Green. Green came in the first inning, pitched 104 miles an hour. 104 he's throwing.
Yeah.
But he gave up 4 solo home runs in one inning. 4 home runs in one inning. And it just shows you it doesn't matter if you can throw 104 miles an hour. It's where the ball's placed. And I guess he was placing the ball right over the middle. And I guess that's why he's in the minors. I mean, that's why he's in AAA. But a guy that throws 104 is somebody that you should at least pocket on your roster somewhere and stash, because they're going to bring this kid up and he's going to be the next big thing as soon as they figure everything out. But they will very soon. We'll see what happens.
One more pitcher to mention in Seattle is Chris Flexen.
I like that kid.
I don't know how reliable he's going to be, but he's certainly somebody that we would call a streaker on this show. That I would run out there. It's a good home park. They play good defense behind him. If he's certainly one I would pay attention to the matchups and get in there. The last 2 weeks, 20 innings, 17 strikeouts, a 1.7 ERA, a 1 WHIP. Pretty good numbers for that team. And if you can get him, he's available in 70% of leagues right now. I would grab him and at least play the matchups with him. So that's one other starter I would like to mention. All right, all we have left are relievers. Ross, give me a couple real quick before we get out of here.
Well, Michael Fulmer of Detroit, he's their save guy now. I mean, he used to be a starter. His ERA since he's been a reliever has been 2.84, 33 Ks in 25 innings.
Great numbers. I like him a lot.
Yeah, I mean he's their closer. I mean, he might be traded before the deadline for a team that needs bullpen help. You never know. But he's got 2 saves this week, and I feel he's available in a lot of leagues, and he's pretty reliable with that low ERA. So he could be a good pickup for your team if you need somebody for saves.
I agree. And the other one who might get you some saves is Jordan Romano in Toronto. That with Dolis being hurt and nobody being real reliable in Toronto's bullpen, I'm not saying you can really trust him because Toronto's bullpen has been below average at best, but he's going to be in a position to get some saves. The past couple of weeks, he gets more than a strikeout per inning. He hasn't been giving up any runs in the past couple of weeks. His whip is manageable. He hasn't been walking too many guys. So he's another one who might be able to get you some saves. The other guy who is still poorly owned is Giovanni Gallegos, 50% owned. He's in St. Louis. I know Alex Reyes is the closer. I own Alex Reyes, but his whip is pretty poor and scary. I know today he also gave up a run again in their game today. So who knows if Reyes is long for that job. And if he's not, Gallegos might be the first in line.
I like Gallegos. I actually have him in our league. And he has been he doesn't give up any runs. I mean, this guy's unbelievable. And if he stays in St. Louis, St. Louis may trade him. You never know. But Gallegos, for me, I feel he's like the best closer on that team right now, and I don't know why he's not closing.
Certainly the most reliable reliever.
I mean, he's been like money that. Like, I've been watching him pitch. He looks great. Another guy, if you need saves, he has 2 saves this in the past 7 days, and they already said to him, they said, "You're our closer." Is Greg Holland of Kansas City? Greg Holland is legit, and he's available in like 70% of the leagues. So if you need a closer right now, pick up Greg Holland.
Yep, that's another great name. All right, Ross, as we wrap up, is there any more rants you want to have before we get out of here?
No, I mean, again, I enjoy watching baseball. Wando Franco, I'm going to watch him play again. I'm excited to watch that kid play. I think he's great for the game. And I feel this whole substance thing with the umps is going to hopefully they get rid of it soon. I just think it's a big waste of time, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I agree entirely. It is making the game more painful to watch. Now, I also think part of it is the cameras are spending extra time on that stuff in between innings so that we do get annoyed with it. They could probably do it off air and we wouldn't be as aware of it if they're televised games.
Casey, think about it. Every idiot has a cell phone, right?
Yeah, I get it.
Every idiot is filming these guys when they're pitching on the mound, like all the time. Like there's cameras rolling on these guys every second.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a better way to do it.
If they're cheating, some idiot's going to put it on YouTube, like showing a pitcher doctoring a ball because there's so many cameras out there. So what pitcher would do that and try to think they can get away with it? It's impossible.
I agree. Well, Ross, thank you for spending this 45 minutes with me. Thank you for educating our viewers on what's best for baseball. It certainly has been enjoyable. To all of you viewers out there, please subscribe to the channel, like these videos, ring the bell for notifications so you can find all of our future content and send us comments and questions. We promise to respond in person to all of this stuff. We care greatly about the work we do, and we want to bring the best product possible to everybody here. I hope everybody has a good night, and we will see you next week.
As a reward for making Gilcliff the undisputed clean energy drink. As a reward for making Gilcliff the undisputed clean energy drink of America and beyond, we've packed in more B vitamins, electrolytes, and killer taste than ever. And as a bonus, we've made the ultimate loyalty program. It's not a Coke, it's not a club, it's the Gilcliff Coke Club. Tap into special offers like flash sales and exclusive merch, deep discounts, and eternal awesomeness. Go to Gilcliff.com to get your discounts on.